Sarah Chun stood on her office balcony, watching children play in the gardens below. Their laughter drifted up through the warm morning air of New Eden. 8-year-old Tommy Martinez kicked the ball to his sister while other kids chased each other around the apple trees. Sarah smiled. This was why they had come so far from Earth. This was their dream. New Eden had been humanity's home for 20 years. 50,000 people lived on this beautiful world with its blue skies and fertile soil. They had built schools, hospitals, farms, and parks. Most important of all, 15,000 children called this place home. They had been born here, grown up here, and knew no other world. The colonists worked hard every day. They grew food, built houses, and taught their children. Sarah was the colonial administrator, which meant she helped make decisions for everyone. She had seen the colony grow from a few metal shelters to a thriving world, full of life and hope. The children were everything to the adults. Earth felt far away, but these kids were their future. Every parent worked to give them a better life. Every teacher spent extra time helping them learn. Every farmer grew food so the children would never be hungry. Sarah's communication device beeped. She looked at the screen and frowned. Ships were approaching New Eden, big ships that did not belong to humans. She had never seen ships like these before. They were long and silver, with strange designs that hurt her eyes to look at. She ran to the communication center in the main building. Other administrators were already there, staring at their screens with worried faces. "Who are they?" Sarah asked. "We don't know," said Dr. James Park, the colony's chief scientist. "They're not responding to our messages." "The ships are huge, Sarah. Much bigger than anything we have." Sarah tried to stay calm. Maybe these were peaceful visitors. Maybe they were explorers like humans used to be. She opened a channel and spoke clearly. "Unknown ships. This is Colonial Administrator Sarah Chun of New Eden. Welcome to our system. How can we help you?" For several minutes, nothing happened. Then a voice answered. It was cold and strange, like metal grinding against stone. "Humans of the third planet. I am Commander Vex of the Zephyri Hegemony. This world contains resources we require. You will evacuate immediately." Sarah felt her stomach drop. She looked around at the other faces in the room. Everyone looked scared. "Commander Vex, we are peaceful colonists. We have families here, children. If you need something from our world, perhaps we can work together. We could share the resources." "Sharing is inefficient. The planet will be harvested. You have 12 hours to leave." 12 hours? Sarah could not believe what she was hearing. "Sir, we have 50,000 people here. 15,000 of them are children. We need more time to evacuate safely. We need at least a week to arrange transport ships. Biological sentiment is irrelevant." 12 hours. The communication ended. Sarah stared at the silent screen. Around her, people began talking at once. Some shouted. Others cried. Dr. Park was already calling the spaceport to see what ships they had available. Sarah's hands shook as she called an emergency meeting. Within an hour, all the colony leaders sat in the main conference room. Outside, word had spread. Parents were picking up their children from school. People packed their most important belongings. "We can't evacuate everyone in 12 hours, said Captain Reynolds, who managed the spaceport. "We have 3 cargo ships and 2 passenger transports. That's maybe 5,000 people if we pack them tight." The rest what?" Sarah demanded. Captain Reynolds looked down. "The rest would have to wait for more ships from other colonies. That could take weeks." Dr. Park stood up. "I've been scanning the alien ships. They have weapons, Sarah. Really big weapons. But maybe if we explain about the children." Sarah nodded. She opened communications again. "Commander Vex, this is Administrator Chun. We cannot evacuate all our people in 12 hours. We have children here. Surely you understand that young ones need special care during travel. Give us 1 week, and we will leave peacefully. The answer came quickly. Your breeding practices are not our concern. Evacuation will proceed as scheduled. These are children. Sarah shouted. They're just kids. Define children. Sarah took a deep breath. Young humans. They are not fully grown. They need special food, medicine, and care. They cannot survive long trips in space without proper equipment. This emotion toward offspring is a weakness. It will be eliminated with the rest of your inefficiency. The communication ended again. This time, it did not come back on. Dr. Park was scanning again. His face went white. Sarah, they're releasing something into the atmosphere. Some kind of gas. What kind of gas? I don't know. It's spreading fast. They said it would force us to evacuate. The first children started getting sick an hour later. It began with coughing. Tommy Martinez, the boy Sarah had watched playing that morning, came to the medical center with his mother. He could barely breathe. Dr. Susan Mills, the colony's chief doctor, worked desperately. More children arrived every few minutes. All of them had the same symptoms. All of them were getting worse. It's their lungs, Dr. Mills told Sarah with tears in her eyes. The gas attacks their respiratory systems. But only the children. The adults are fine. Why only children? Their lungs aren't fully developed. Whatever this chemical is, it targets that weakness. Sarah ran outside. The air looked clear, but she knew death was in it. Invisible and terrible. Around the colony, children were collapsing. Parents carried them to the medical centers, but there was nothing the doctors could do. Tommy Martinez died first. Then his sister. Then dozens of others died by the end of the day. Every child on New Eden was dead. Sarah stood in the main square surrounded by silence. The playgrounds were empty. The schools stood abandoned. Parents sat holding small bodies, crying without making sound. The Zephyr ships landed. Silver beings in mechanical suits walked out. They ignored the humans completely and began setting up mining equipment. They worked around the graves the parents were digging. They stepped over toys left in the streets. Sarah managed to get aboard one of the escape ships with a few hundred other survivors. As their ship lifted off, she looked down at New Eden one last time. The Zephyr were already tearing apart the school to get to minerals. Underneath, she activated the ship's long-range communicator and sent a message to Earth. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were full of fire. This is New Eden Colony. We are under attack. They killed our children. All of them. 15,000 children are dead. Remember this. Remember what they did to us. The message flew across space toward Earth, carrying news that would change everything. The message from New Eden reached Earth on a Tuesday morning. Maria Santos was drinking coffee in her kitchen in Snow Hollow when every screen on the planet began showing the same thing. Sarah Chun's face appeared, dirty and exhausted, speaking words that would change everything. This is New Eden Colony. We are under attack. They killed our children. All of them. 15,000 children are dead. Maria dropped her coffee cup. It shattered on the floor, but she did not notice. On the screen, Sarah continued talking about gas and aliens and graves. But all Maria could hear were those first words. 15,000 children are dead. Around the world, the same scene repeated millions of times. People stopped what they were doing. Cars pulled over. Factories went silent. Children in schools watched their teachers cry. The message played again and again, but nobody needed to hear it twice. By evening, crowds filled every major city on Earth. They were not angry crowds. They were quiet crowds. Parents held their own children closer. Grandparents stared at photos on their phones. Everyone understood that something terrible had happened, and something terrible was about to begin. The United Earth Council called an emergency session. President Catherine Walsh had seen many crises in her 10 years in office, but nothing like this. The council chamber was packed with representatives from every nation and colony. Usually, these meetings were full of arguments and debates. Today, everyone agreed on one thing. Admiral Marcus Webb stood at the center of the chamber. He was 70 years old and had fought in every major conflict of the past 30 years. His hair was gray, his face was scarred, and his eyes were hard. But today, those hard eyes looked different. Today, they looked like they were full of fire. The Zafari hegemony has committed an act of genocide against human children, Admiral Webb said. His voice was calm, but everyone could hear the anger underneath. They used chemical weapons specifically designed to kill our young. They did this deliberately. President Walsh nodded. What are our options, Admiral? Madam President, our options are simple. We can talk, or we can fight. And your recommendation? Admiral Webb looked around the chamber. Every face was watching him. The time for talk is over. They murdered 15,000 children while their parents watched. There was only one response to that. Dr. Elena Vasquez raised her hand. She was Earth's top scientist in alien biology and had spent years studying other species. Admiral, we know very little about the Zephyri. They're more advanced than us. Their ships are bigger. Their weapons are stronger. Doctor, with respect, I don't care how advanced they are. They killed our children. I understand your anger, Admiral. I feel it too. But we need to be smart about this. If we attack them directly, they might kill more of our people. Admiral Webb smiled, but it was not a nice smile. Doctor, I'm not talking about attacking them directly. I'm talking about something else entirely. President Walsh leaned forward. Explain. We disappear, Admiral Webb said. We stop all contact with the galactic community. No trade, no diplomacy, no communication. We become invisible. And while we're invisible, we prepare. Prepare for what? War. Total war. The kind of war that ends with one side completely destroyed. The chamber fell silent. Finally, President Walsh spoke. Admiral, you're talking about changing our entire society. We're a peaceful species. We've always sought diplomatic solutions. Madam President, our peaceful nature got 15,000 children killed. Maybe it's time to try something else. Dr. Vasquez stood up. If we're going to do this, I want to help. I want to study every piece of Zephyri technology we can find. I want to learn everything about their biology, their psychology, their weaknesses. Doctor, this won't be like our previous research. This will be research designed to kill them. I know, Dr. Vasquez said quietly. I have a daughter. She's 8 years old. The same age as many of the children who died on New Eden. I want to make sure no alien ever thinks about hurting her. Across the chamber, other representatives began standing up. The delegate from Mars spoke first. Mars Colony supports Admiral Webb's plan. We volunteer our mining facilities for weapons production. Europa Station agrees, said another voice. Our research labs are at your disposal. One by one, every human colony declared their support. Not just their political support, but their complete commitment. Every resource, every scientist, every worker would be dedicated to one goal. Within days, the transformation began. Earth's communication networks went dark to alien signals. Human trade ships stopped visiting alien ports. Diplomatic missions closed their doors. The species that had once eagerly joined galactic society simply vanished. At first, the other alien species were confused. Where had the humans gone? The Galactic Council sent messages asking about trade agreements and cultural exchanges. Nobody answered. When alien ships tried to visit human worlds, they found empty space. The colonies were still there, but they wouldn't talk. Some aliens were happy about this. The humans had always been too emotional, too unpredictable. Their absence made galactic politics simpler. Trade routes that had been managed by humans were taken over by other species. Nobody complained. But in human space, incredible changes were happening. Children as young as 10 began training in combat simulation. Schools added classes in strategy and weapons design. Art schools started teaching war songs instead of love songs. Poetry focused on tactics and revenge instead of beauty and peace. Every human colony became a fortress. Peaceful farms were turned into military bases. Research stations that had studied medicine and farming began studying explosives and biological warfare. The species that had once explored space looking for friends now prepared to eliminate enemies. Dr. Vasquez worked 18 hours a day in her lab. She studied every piece of alien technology Earth had ever collected. She analyzed their biology from old diplomatic meetings. She learned how they thought, how they fought, how they died. Admiral Webb commanded the largest military construction project in human history. New weapons were designed that the galaxy had never seen. Ships were built that could strike from impossible distances. Soldiers were trained who showed no mercy and asked no questions. But the most important change was in human hearts. In every home, on every world, families put pictures of New Eden's children on their walls. Tommy Martinez's face looked down from a million breakfast tables. The playground where he died was rebuilt in holographic form in every human military base. The children were not forgotten. They became symbols. They became fuel for the fire that was growing in human souls. 18 months passed. The aliens thought the humans had given up and hidden away in fear. They had no idea that humanity was preparing to show them something they had never seen before, something terrible and beautiful and completely unstoppable. The other side of humanity was about to wake up. Commander Vex of the Zephyr Hegemony stood on the bridge of his flagship and felt satisfied. 80 months had passed since the incident at the human colony, and the galaxy was more efficient without the emotional species cluttering up trade routes and diplomatic meetings. The Zephyr had expanded their territory by 30%. The quantum crystals from the former human world powered new ships and weapons. Other species had learned to respect Zephyr efficiency. Nobody questioned their methods anymore. "Commander," his aide reported, "we have received another request from the Galactic Council about the humans. What do they want to know? They are asking if we know why the humans stopped participating in galactic society. Some species are concerned." Vex dismissed this with a gesture. The humans learned their place. They are hiding in their small corner of space, as they should be. This is the natural order when a weak species meets a strong one. But Vex did not know what was happening in human space. He could not see the transformation that was taking place on every human world. On Mars, 10-year-old Amy Chun practiced combat maneuvers in the school gymnasium. Her teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, watched carefully as Amy moved through the exercise. Amy was fast, precise, and completely focused. On the wall above them, a photo of Tommy Martinez looked down with sad eyes. "Very good, Amy," Mrs. Rodriguez said. "Now tell me why we practice these movements." "So no alien will ever hurt our children again," Amy answered without hesitation. "That's right. And what do we remember? We remember New Eden. We remember 15,000 children who will never grow up. We remember that we trusted aliens and they killed our babies." Mrs. Rodriguez nodded. This was the new education system on every human world. Children learn math by calculating weapon trajectories. They learned chemistry by studying explosives. They learned biology by understanding how to hurt different alien species, but they were still children. After combat practice, Amy went home and played with her dolls. She drew pictures and watched cartoons. She hugged her parents and laughed at silly jokes. The adults worked very hard to make sure the children stayed happy and innocent, even while they prepared them for war. In her laboratory on Europa Station, Dr. Elena Vasquez made another breakthrough. She had been studying Zephyri biology for months, using tissue samples from old diplomatic meetings. Today, she finally understood how their nervous system worked. Fascinating, she whispered to herself. The Zephyri had evolved on a cold world with different atmospheric pressure. Their brains processed information faster than humans, but they had a weakness. Their neurons were very sensitive to specific electromagnetic frequencies. Dr. Vasquez began designing a weapon. Not a gun or a bomb, but something much more elegant. A device that could disrupt the Zephyri brain function from a distance. It would cause confusion, paralysis, or death, depending on the setting. She felt no guilt about this research. On her desk sat a photo of Maria Santos, a 7-year-old girl who had died on New Eden. Maria had wanted to be a scientist when she grew up. Now Dr. Vasquez would be a scientist for her. Admiral Webb visited the secret shipyards of Titan, where humanity's new fleet was being built. These were not like the old human ships. The old ships were designed for exploration and trade. These new ships were designed for one purpose: killing aliens. The ships were painted black and moved silently through space. They carried weapons that could destroy entire fleets from incredible distances. Most importantly, they were controlled by artificial intelligence systems that felt no mercy and never hesitated. How many are ready? Admiral Webb asked Captain Morrison, the shipyard commander. 1,200 ships are operational, Admiral. Another 800 will be ready within 3 months. And the crews? Every crew member has completed advanced combat training. They know the enemy's capabilities and weaknesses. More importantly, they know why we're fighting. Admiral Webb nodded. Every human soldier carried a small device called a memorial archive. It contained photos, videos, and stories of all 15,000 children who died on New Eden. Before every mission, soldiers would look at these faces and remember why they were going to war. The transformation was not just military. Human culture itself had changed. Writers created stories about revenge and justice. Musicians composed battle songs that spoke of protecting children. Artists painted images of warriors defending innocents from alien monsters. On Earth, President Walsh met with her advisors in a secure bunker deep underground. The room's walls were covered with star maps showing Zephyri territory. "What's the latest intelligence?" she asked. General Hayes opened a folder. The Zephyri continue to expand. They've taken over 4 more systems in the past month. They're using the same chemical weapons they used on New Eden to clear out other species. Any other casualties? Yes, Madam President. The Corvani species tried to resist. The Zephyri killed their children too. Same method, same attitude. President Walsh felt anger rise in her chest. How many children? About 3,000. The room fell silent. Finally, President Walsh spoke. That's 18,000 innocent children murdered by the same species. It's time. Admiral Webb nodded. The fleet is ready, Madam President. Our soldiers are ready. Our weapons are ready. But more than that, our people are ready. Every human in the galaxy wants justice for those children. Dr. Vasquez entered the room carrying a small device. Admiral, I have something that will interest you. This is the neural disruptor I've been developing. It can disable Zephyri ships without destroying them. We can capture their crews alive. Doctor, our plan is to eliminate the Zephyri threat completely. Taking prisoners is not a priority. I understand, Admiral. But captured Zephyri can tell us about their other operations. They might know about more colonies planning to use chemical weapons against children. Admiral Webb considered this. Very well. But any Zephyr who participated in New Eden dies. No exceptions, of course. President Walsh stood up. Admiral Webb, Dr. Vasquez, you have my authorization to begin Operation New Eden. Show the galaxy what happens when someone hurts our children. The meeting ended, and the final preparations began. Across human space, parents tucked their children into bed and told them stories about brave heroes who protected innocent people. The children went to sleep feeling safe and loved. But in space, in the darkness between the stars, 2,000 black ships began moving towards Zephyr territory. Each ship carried soldiers who had spent 18 months preparing for this moment. Each soldier carried photos of dead children and hearts full of righteous anger. The Zephyr had no idea what was coming. They had forgotten about the humans completely. To them, the emotional species was weak and defeated. They were about to learn that they had made a terrible mistake. The humans had been quiet for 18 months, but they had not been idle. They had been preparing to show the galaxy something it had never seen before. What happened when you killed humanity's children? The other side of humanity was about to be revealed, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Commander Vex was reviewing mining reports when his communications officer began screaming. The Zephyr did not usually show emotion, but the officer's voice was filled with terror. Commander, Sector 12. All our bases, they're gone. Vex moved quickly to the main display. Sector 12 contained 15 Zephyr military installations, 3 mining colonies, and a major shipyard. According to the sensors, none of them existed anymore. Gone? What do you mean gone? Not destroyed, Commander. Gone. Vanished. There's nothing there but empty space. Vex stared at the display. This was impossible. You could not make entire military bases disappear. Ships could be destroyed, but the debris would remain. Planets could be attacked, but something would be left behind. Send reconnaissance ships to investigate immediately. Already done, Commander. The ships report finding only empty space and something else. What? The communications officer's hands were shaking. Quantum crystals, Commander. The same crystals we harvested from the human colony. They're floating in space, arranged in specific patterns. Show me. The main screen displayed the reconnaissance footage. In the empty space where Zephyr Base 7 had existed, thousands of quantum crystals floated in perfect formation. The pattern was unmistakable. It looked like small handprints, children's handprints. Vex felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Contact the Galactic Council immediately. Tell them we need to speak with the human representative. Within hours, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from dozens of species gathered in the Great Chamber, all talking at once. Nobody understood what had happened to the Zephyr installations. Sarah Chun entered the chamber quietly. She looked different than she had 18 months ago. Her hair was now completely gray, and her eyes were hard as stone. She wore a simple black uniform with a single symbol, a small handprint. The chamber fell silent as she walked to the human representative's platform. Many of the aliens had not seen a human in over a year. They had almost forgotten what humans looked like. The council chairman, a tall blue creature called Speaker Zoran, addressed her carefully. Representative Chun, the Galactic Council requests information about the incidents in Zephyr space. Sarah looked around the chamber slowly. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear. You want to know what happened to the Zephyr bases? Yes, our sensors indicate that multiple installations have disappeared. They have been removed. Removed? By whom? Sarah smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. By us, by humanity. You wanted to see how we respond to the murder of our children. Now you know. Speaker Zoran looked confused. Representative Chun, The Zephyri report that your species has been silent for 18 months. They believed you had retreated to your home systems. We were preparing. Preparing for what? War. Total war. The complete elimination of anyone who hurts our children. The Zephyri representative, General Crix, stood up angrily. This is impossible. Humans are weak. They have no military power. They could never destroy our installations. Sarah looked at him with cold eyes. General Crix, you were present at New Eden when your people murdered 15,000 children with poison gas. Those deaths were necessary for efficient resource extraction. I see. And now you will see what we consider necessary for child protection. The main display in the chamber suddenly activated. It showed space near another Zephyri system. 3 large Zephyri warships were patrolling normally. Then, without warning, they simply stopped moving. What's happening to our ships? General Crix demanded. Neural disruption, Sarah answered calmly. Your crews are experiencing complete nervous system shutdown. Don't worry, it's not fatal. We learned how to cause paralysis instead of death. We're much more precise than you are. On the display, black human ships appeared around the paralyzed Zephyri vessels. They were sleek and silent, like predators in the darkness. Those are human ships? Speaker Zoran asked in amazement. Yes, we've been busy during our silence. The human ships attached devices to the Zephyri vessels. Within minutes, the alien ships began broadcasting a signal across all communication frequencies in the galaxy. Tommy Martinez's face appeared on every screen in the chamber. The 8-year-old boy was laughing and playing with his sister in a sunny garden. Then the image changed to show his small body lying still in the grass of New Eden. His name was Tommy Martinez, Sarah's voice said over the broadcast. He wanted to be a pilot when he grew up. He liked apple juice and bedtime stories. The Zephyri killed him with poison gas because his lungs weren't fully developed. The image changed to another child, then another. 15,000 young faces appeared one by one, each with their name, their age, their dreams, each showing how they died. General Crix was backing away from his platform. Turn it off. Stop this broadcast. No, Sarah said simply. Every being in the galaxy will see what you did. Every parent will know how you murdered our babies. The broadcast continued for hours. It showed not just the children who died, but the parents who held their bodies. The empty playgrounds. The toys left in the streets. The graves dug by hand in the soil of New Eden. When it finally ended, Sarah spoke again. General Crix, your people believed that killing human children would make us retreat in fear. You were wrong. It made us into something else entirely. What do you want? General Crix asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Justice. Every Zephyri who participated in New Eden will face trial for genocide. Your chemical weapons will be destroyed. Your military will be disbanded. Your government will fall. And if we refuse? Sarah gestured to the display, which now showed dozens of human ships surrounding Zephyri worlds. Then you will learn what happens when you threaten our children. We spent 18 months studying your biology, your psychology, your culture. We know exactly how to hurt you in ways you never imagined. Speaker Zoran tried to maintain order. Representative Chun, surely we can reach a diplomatic solution? The time for diplomacy ended when the first human child died on New Eden, Sarah interrupted. We tried diplomacy. We begged them to give us time to evacuate the children safely. They laughed at us. They called our love for our children a weakness. She looked around the chamber at all the alien representatives. They were right about one thing. Our love for our children is a weakness, but it's also our strength. And when you threaten that love, you wake up something inside humanity that should have stayed sleeping. The chamber was completely silent now. Even General Crix had stopped protesting. Every species in this galaxy needs to understand something, Sarah continued. We are not the same humans who asked to join your community 20 years ago. We are not the same humans who sought peace and friendship among the stars. Those humans died with the children of New Eden. She paused, letting her words sink in. We are what came after. We are what humans become when you kill our babies. And we will never, ever forgive. The session ended with no resolution. But as the alien representatives left the chamber, they all understood that something had fundamentally changed in the galaxy. The humans were no longer the weak emotional species they could ignore. They had become something dangerous, something unified, something that would fight with the fury of parents protecting their children, and the war had only just begun. The war lasted 6 months. It was not really a war in the traditional sense, because wars usually involve two sides fighting each other. This was more like a systematic elimination of everything. Connected to the Zephyr hegemony, human ships appeared everywhere at once. They did not fight like other species. They did not attack military targets and leave civilians alone. Instead, they studied each Zephyr world carefully, identified everyone who had supported the New Eden massacre, and removed them with surgical precision. The Zephyr tried to surrender after 3 months, but humanity ignored their surrender requests. Surrender required mercy, and mercy was something the humans had forgotten how to give to child killers stopped by the end. The Zephyr hegemony simply ceased to exist. Their worlds were empty, their ships were debris, and their leaders were gone. The few surviving Zephyr were scattered across the galaxy as refugees, begging other species for protection. The Galactic Council called another emergency session. This time, every species sent their most important leaders. They were all afraid of the humans now, but they were also afraid of what the humans might do next. Sarah Chun entered the chamber, wearing the same black uniform, but now she wore additional symbols. A silver star for each Zephyr world that had been cleared. A gold circle for each chemical weapon facility that had been destroyed. And still, always the small handprint for the children of New Eden. Speaker Zoran looked older and more tired than before. Representative Chun, the Galactic Council wishes to discuss the terms of peace. There are no terms, Sarah replied. Peace was never our goal. And what do you want? Sarah looked around the chamber. Every alien representative was watching her with fearful eyes. We want memory, she said. We want every school in galactic space to teach about New Eden. We want every child in the galaxy to learn the names of Tommy Martinez and the 14,999 other human children who were murdered. We want monuments built on every world. The Kovani representative, whose own children had been killed by the Zephyr, stood up. Representative Chun, my species agrees to your terms. We understand your pain. No, Sarah said quietly. You don't understand. Your children were killed by accident, as collateral damage. Our children were killed deliberately, with weapons designed specifically to murder them while their parents watched. There is a difference. She activated a display showing images from across human space. This is what we have become. Look at our worlds now. The display showed human colonies, but they looked nothing like the peaceful settlements of before. Every human world was now a fortress. Children played in gardens surrounded by defensive walls. Schools taught combat alongside mathematics. Parks contained memorials alongside playgrounds. Every human child now learns weapons training from age 5, Sarah continued. Every human adult serves in the military reserves. Every human scientist works on projects that can protect our children from alien threats. We are no longer a peaceful species. Speaker Zoran looked disturbed. Representative Chun, surely this level of militarization is temporary. No, it is permanent. We learned that the galaxy contains species who will murder children for resources. We will never be defenseless again. The display changed to show new human colonies being established. We are expanding, Sarah announced. We will colonize 50 new worlds in the next 5 years. Each world will be designed from the beginning as both a home for children and a military stronghold. Each world will be capable of defending itself against any alien threat. The Altarian representative raised a tentacle nervously. What about trade agreements? Cultural exchanges? The peaceful cooperation that existed before? Sarah's expression did not change. Those things existed because we trusted you. We believed that other species shared our values about protecting children. We were wrong. She gestured to another display, showing the new human military doctrine. From now on, any threat to human children triggers total response. Not negotiation, not diplomacy, not proportional retaliation. Total response, meaning the complete elimination of the threat and everyone connected to it. Representative Chun, Speaker Zoran said desperately, "Surely you cannot mean total war." "Against any species that, I mean exactly that," Sarah interrupted. "Touch our children and we will end you. All of you. We will hunt down every member of your species across the galaxy. We will destroy your worlds, your ships, your history, and your future. This is not a threat. This is a promise." The chamber fell silent. Many of the alien representatives were trembling. "But," Sarah continued, "those species who protect all children, not just their own, will find humans to be valuable allies. We will trade with you, learn from you, and defend you against those who would harm the innocent." The Trilaki representative stood up cautiously. "What about the Corvani children who were killed? Will you help us seek justice for them?" Sarah nodded. "We are already investigating the officials who approved the attack on your colonies. They will face the same justice we gave to the Zephyri." Over the following years, the galaxy adapted to the new reality. Humanity established a new Eden Protocol, which became the foundation of their foreign policy. Any species that harmed children faced immediate and total retaliation. Any species that protected children received human friendship and support. Some species chose to remain neutral, keeping their distance from human space. Others actively sought human alliance, knowing that humanity's protection was absolute and unbreakable. The most important change was in how children were treated throughout the galaxy. Species that had never cared much about their young began investing in child welfare and education. They did this not out of love, but out of fear of what humans would do if they learned about child abuse or neglect. Sarah Chun eventually retired from diplomacy and returned to a human colony world. But this was not the peaceful retirement of the old days. The colony was called New Tommy, named after Tommy Martinez. It was home to 10,000 human families and their children. Sarah often walked through the memorial garden at the center of the colony. 15,000 flowers grew there, one for each child who had died on New Eden. Human children played among the flowers, laughing and running just as children should. But surrounding the garden was a military base with enough firepower to destroy an entire fleet. Guard towers watched the sky constantly. Warning systems monitored every ship that approached the system. The children were safe, happy, and innocent. But they were also protected by parents who had learned that the galaxy was not as peaceful as they had once believed. Sarah sat on a bench in the garden and watched 8-year-old Amy Chun play with her friends. Amy was the same age Tommy Martinez had been when he died. She had his same bright smile and curious eyes. The difference was that Amy would grow up in a world where humanity was ready for anything. She would learn to fight, to protect herself and others, and to never trust aliens completely. But she would also learn to laugh, to dream, and to believe in a future where human children could play safely among the stars. Communication device on Sarah's wrist beeped softly. A message from Admiral Webb reported that a new species had requested alliance with humanity. They had heard about the New Eden Protocol and wanted to ensure their children would be protected. Sarah smiled and approved the meeting. This was how the galaxy worked now. Species that protected children were welcomed. Species that threatened children were eliminated. It was a simple system, and it worked. High above the colony, human ships patrolled silently. Their crews were the children who had grown up after New Eden, trained from birth to defend the innocent. They carried the names and faces of the 15,000 in their hearts, and the promise that no alien would ever again make the mistake of thinking human. Children were expendable. The galaxy had learned to fear humanity's love for their children. And that was exactly how humanity wanted it to be. The other side of humanity was no longer hidden. It was the only side they showed to the stars.